what do you think that what kind of a role AI can play in performance evaluation? So we have almost covered something similar in my past question to you, but would you like to throw some more light over here?
Gotcha. I think in terms of performance evaluation, the key will be bias mitigation, and that is making sure that we've eliminated the bias-related questions with regards to performance evaluations, and so that it's really objective and data-driven criteria that we're asking and assessing for. I recall back in my days doing 9-box grids and 360 reviews. Lots of the questions were subjective, and there was a lot of bias, and there was much in terms of how did I like the way you worked and how did I feel about you. I think with AI, if done properly, we can eliminate some of the bias and subjectivity and be more of objective in a data-driven criteria as we evaluate professionals within organizations and further advance their careers, while at the same time making sure that we're looking at them in terms of a holistic development perspective. How do we, if you're not hitting the match that we want you to hit, what are the tools and what are the initiatives that we can put in place utilizing AI tools to help develop those that will further advance that employee and further advance his or her career without bias, without subject-driven criteria in the evaluation. If we can do that, I think that's where AI is a fantastic tool, again, very similar to what we were talking about in the previous question that I was answering, and that is the data is there. This is something that organizations have captured for decades, and that is the data from the performance evaluations. Now it's time to utilize it. It's time to utilize it so that it actually provides results and positive ends and development from a diversity perspective. Because many diverse professionals feel sometimes that they're, I guess, in a disadvantage by being honest. Can I be honest with my employer about things that are not that are dissatisfactory to me? Can I be honest with my HR manager about things that are dissatisfactory to me? Now, if AI is implemented properly, you can be honest, and there can be an honest dialogue between managers and employees about individuals' development. And I think that's where, again, AI, if implemented properly, and I think that's the goal here, if implemented properly, will be a useful tool.
But all these systems, AI-based systems, work on the basis of a lot of data which has been fed into it, right? Or your algorithms are being trained. What do you think about what if the data is biased, right? What do you think that organization how they should make sure that the data on which they are training their systems is not biased?
That's where the rubber will hit the road. That's the big challenge for organizations, and making sure that they're not using bias in their assessment, in their hiring practices, in their compensation reviews, or compensation, as well as merit increases. And that is, how do you eliminate the bias? I'm not sure how you actually do that. I mean, that's going to be the heavy lift for organizations. It's looking at best practices. It's looking at leading organizations that are doing it well. There are a number of organizations around the globe that do DEI and have engaged with AI very successfully and have done it by eliminating or mitigating some of the bias. It's looking at those and partnering with those. There are a number of roundtable organizations where you've got intra companies that are coming from various sectors that are working together to collaborate to look at how do you mitigate bias in performance evaluations. That's going to be the challenge, and that's where I hope firms like ours, will have a chance and opportunity to partner with these organizations and bringing them together so that they can have dialogue about it. But there is no simple silver bullet answer for this question right now. I wish there was. I wish I could say, well, do 1, 2, and 3. It doesn't work that way. It's not that simple. But there's going to be a lot of hard work, and it's going to come from thought leadership around what best practices look like at this point in time.
Exactly. I'm sure that there will be a lot of, case studies and best practices that can be taken and that can be implemented, and, on basis of which our data can be audited and trained from time to time basis. So Sunil, I have almost a similar question for you also. How do you think organization can balance the use of AI with human oversight to ensure the fair and ethical practices?
Sure. So going from what Daryl was answering, I think everything starts from how diverse is your leadership team. Because if you look at balancing AI with human oversight becomes very, very crucial for the success of and the success of any DI initiatives in the organization. So the organization should very, very clearly establish guidelines in terms of AI usages. They should also be regularly auditing these type of algorithms to ensure if there is to help see any potential bias that may come along. And in order for us to do that, it is very important that the decision-making process that is implemented, the team is diverse, because I think that is the first step in the process. It is also important that there are certain ethical judgments that AI is not capable of doing. The diverse team would help take those decisions in the right manner, and you cannot therefore replace the human element out of AI for the success of any of these initiatives. So as long as each of these individuals who are part of the decision cycle are able to sort of come together and understand the context and are able to implement those actions, I think it will be easier for organization to balance AI without human interface, because whether we like it or not, our individual biases or whether it's during implementation or during the process implementation, they will eventually come in. But by having a diverse team, I think we will be able to reduce them to a larger extent.
Correct. So my last question is for you, Daryl. What are the potential challenges and consideration organizations should watch out while implementing AI tools in the workplace?
To answer your last question, I think organizations will understand that AI is a potent tool for advancing diversity, equity, and inclusion within corporations, but it's just a tool. Keep in mind that HR has always utilized technology tools to assist in the delivery of data and solutions to the enterprise, such as applicant tracking systems, which many thought would be the answer to applicant satisfaction in the hiring process. It's fallen well short of that. HRIS platforms, some are very good, many aren't as good as we'd like them to be. And the ERP systems, they come and go almost every day, whether you're looking at PeopleSoft, Workday, and the like. Some living up to the potential, but many falling short. AI will require a greater understanding of its potential impact on advancing diversity across the corporate landscape and how it is to be incorporated with human interaction. The most important factor for AI and DEI to be successful will be the interaction and the hybrid model, and that is a model developed around the technology, but reliant on the human model to understand the nuance, to understand the language, and just kind of navigate around what the data is saying and where human interaction will be required as well. I think that will be the challenge, and that is developing that model that grows, gets better. And at some point, I think the goal for most DEI professionals is that DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, is no longer the mandate that it is today. And if that happens, we'll all be much happier. That means that DEI is already incorporated, that it's well respected within the organization, and there's no need for mandates and initiatives to push the needle forward on this area, that it's already actively being done and that the tools can be applied elsewhere. But it's, again, understanding how artificial intelligence, DEI, and human interaction will be able to collaborate together, not exclusively of one of the other. And then again, this is not a silver bullet that's going to answer AI. That is, it's not a silver bullet that will answer all of the questions and create all the solutions with regards to bias in data, overly subjective analysis. Those are the issues that will take much amount of time for solutions to be found. And that's where the challenge is going to lie.
Yeah, thank you, Daryl. So Daryl and Sunil, I have a common question to both of you, because you are from executive search, industry, and you both have enough experience. So do you think that biases still exist when you reach a certain stage in life, or when you're doing some kind of a hiring for these positions?
I'll jump in there, Sunil, and I think always. I know I bring my biases as an African-American male who's been in executive search for over 30 years. I bring my own issues and biases. Hopefully I can they're less subjective, but I know that they're there. Hopefully there are my biases are positive, but I know that they're not always. And so that's why the team that, an organization like Tableau brings, and that is, there's more than just one person looking at a candidate, there's more than one person looking at it, engaged with the client. Is helpful because you get differences of opinion and perspective, and that's important, that when you're looking at something, that you bring in others to say, by the way, are you seeing this the same way I see this? Am I approaching this properly? Am I missing something? That's being adult enough to be able to ask the question, am I missing something? Am I not seeing it properly? How would you go about answering this particular question if it were presented to you? Those are the things that we have to do in order to best serve our clients, and how to make sure that our own individual biases don't overreach in terms of what we're trying to accomplish with our clients.
That's excellent, Daryl. Within Tableau Executive Search, that you make sure that there are no biases happening when you are searching for a particular candidate for any of the mandate that you get. I think that's what it sets you apart from maybe other players in the industry. Well said. So Sunil and Daryl, would you like to have some closing remarks for this particular session?
Sure. So I think since a lot has been talked about, and we are constantly talking about AI and generative AI and the power of it, I believe that AI can be a very, very powerful ally in terms of advancing companies' diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives. But as we navigate the future, I think what we have to realize is that the transformative potential that AI brings to help build those, equitable and inclusive workforce. But we should be conscious about not taking the human element completely out of it. In order for companies to be successful in implementing these initiatives with a lot of transparency and ethical consideration, AI can be a very, very powerful tool. And it will not only help the corporates in terms of achieving these objectives, it is also beneficial for the employees. It is also beneficial for companies' bottom line. So at the end of the day, it is going to be a win-win situation for both.
Right, excellent. So Daryl, how about you? Would you like to say anything?
Well, the only thing I would like to say is that, and I know I haven't talked to you about this, Sunil, but what we would like to do, and what I would like to do, is continue this kind of dialogue with organizations in terms of getting their ideas, getting their thoughts in terms of where our thoughts are and how they align or are not aligned with what they're saying out there in the real world. We, again, as consultants, as HR professionals, as executive search professionals, sometimes we're a little bit removed from what they're saying on a day-to-day basis, and would love to hear from clients, potential clients, non-clients, what they're seeing in the real world, what's happening with regards to AI, DEI, and their ability to deliver positive solutions to their enterprises.
Great. So I think I would like to summarize this session by saying that senior HR leaders can use AI as a powerful tool to advance DEI initiatives by enhancing data-driven, decision-making, which can really mitigate bias in various HR processes and fostering a more inclusive corporate cultures, using AI ethically and transparently. I think this is the main gist which is coming out of today's session. Is essential to avoid reinforcing existing biases and ensuring that AI systems align with DEI goals, which the different organizations will have. Every different organization will have different goals. So thank you, Daryl and Sunil, for spending your morning with me today. Thank you for your valuable inputs, and look forward to having such more sessions with you both. Thank you so much.